Hi, everyone. I am so excited that you are joining us for the new episode of The Table. I cannot wait for you to meet our guest for today. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a little bit, but I just wanted to check in on you. It's been a minute since we've had a guest. Actually, I guess we had one last month, but we took off some time for the summer. So school has started. How are you guys feeling? What's going on? How are you balancing? I know that things are shifting and changing all the time. So make sure you're leaving in the comments where you are, how I can pray for you, how we can link up. I know this is my favorite month. And so I'm bringing some of my favorite people on. We're talking about different things, but it's still going to be a month of faves. So with that being said, I would love to introduce you all to today's guest, Mrs. Shameka Morgan. Say hi, Shameka.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you and to be talking amongst you guys. It's a super exciting season. I think for everybody, especially in the faith, we're like feeling like this really excitement, this ignitement, like God is really like doing some amazing things. So I'm super excited for this opportunity. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you do professionally, who you are, who is Shameka?
Okay, so who is Shameka? Listen, first and foremost, I'll be candid. It's very hard sometimes for me to introduce myself or even talk about myself.
Understood.
So I am Shameka Morgan. I am a wife and I'm a mother of 6 children.
Yes.
Yes. I have to throw that out there. I also am a kingdom builder, entrepreneur, and a minister of the gospel.
She does all the things. That's what she just said. She does all the things, and with 6 children, because that is incredible. I mean, that's a big part of your ministry too, like being a mom, being a wife, and then all of the extra things. I think that that's huge.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what is your current passion pursuit and what's the motivation behind that?
Okay, so I think the more ideal answer for that would be my current passion pursuit would be to ensure that whomever I come in contact with or whomever that I'm connected to or that God will have me connect to, that they get what they need from me. So in what aspects? So that's every aspect of life. So it starts with ministry. Obviously, charity starts at home. So it starts with home. It starts with the gospel. It starts with ministry. It starts with God. And then it starts with entrepreneurship. So it really just depends. I have many different facets of my life that I am committed to and I've dedicated my time to. So it really just depends on what that person is coming or whatever I'm reaching towards when it comes to that person. Or what am I trying to say? Okay, so it really just depends on how I connect with that particular individual at that time. So whatever it is that I could do for that person, I'm all about serving. So this is my season of serving, of giving back, giving of myself, of all of the things that I feel that God has blessed me with. And that could be financially, that could be ministering, it could be a plethora of things that, whatever it is that I have for you.
I love that. Answer. I love that because it actually takes us right into the topic for today's chat, which is the balancing act, right? And so you just talked about how you give in certain areas and you pull back in others to make sure that you're efficient, but that you're doing what God has called you to do. You're giving of what he's given to you, right? And so part of that is balancing. So I want to talk about how you're balancing family, ministry, and business without losing Shameka, because you just talked about how you're in this giving season. So how are you not in deficit?
That's a word. How are you when you are giving? Okay, so there was a time, I have to take you back before I can bring you forward. So there was a time that I struggled with all of my responsibilities. There was a time that I couldn't find balance, or that I struggled in these areas of how do I do all of these things and how do I accomplish all of these things that God has set before me?
Right.
When at the place that I am now, I don't feel like I'm arrived. I'm like Apostle Paul. I have not arrived. I'm pressing. I'm pressing toward. But I have not arrived, but I've gotten to a place where I do feel a bit more stable, and I feel a bit more connected to God. So these seasons that I had in my life are what brought me to this place. So sometimes you have to go through the process. It may seem like a lot at first, but it's never more than we can bear. And it takes us to a place of humility. So it put me at the feet of Christ. It put me in a place of intercession and prayer, because I could not do this, and I cannot do this without God. So how do I figure this out? Okay, if you put all of this on my plate, how do I do it? That was my question. So God in turn gave me a blueprint for not just my family, but for how to structure, different areas of my life. And sometimes, honestly, we just got to be prophetic. It just have to be suddenly. You got to be able to move, and you have to be able to shift and make adjustments. So not being flustered and not being frustrated with having to make those adjustments also comes along with maintaining in the process. And I think, just kind of like the ebbs and flows of life can prepare you for, what it is that God has for you. That's the entire point, right? So we go through these tests so that we can obtain this testimony. We go through, different trials, and we go through, it seems like trials and error.
Yep.
And we go through the tugging, and we go through the pulling, so that we can attain what God has for you. So I can say in this particular season, I can give more because I have more to give. Why? Because I went through the process of what it is that God was taking me through. I learned, I obtained the wisdom. I got real good godly counsel. I surrounded myself with people that not only have my back, but they're praying for me. They hear from God themselves, so they can speak into my life. There's so many different things that play a part into you getting to that place of balancing. And even when you are at a good place, you still have to be able to flow. You have to be able to just say, okay, that didn't go the way that I thought it would, but that's okay, because it's all still according to God's plan. So He gonna work it out for my good, either way it goes.
So I want to kind of stay on this about how you go through different seasons and you learn different things about how to balance, how to communicate your needs, how to connect with the right people, how to really listen to the voice of God where He's directing you, right? Because one of the things that you were saying was, you put this on my plate. So how do I really get these things done? And I think that that's important, because sometimes what we battle with when we're talking about balancing is we've put things on our plate and we're trying to figure out how to make it work. But the real thing that I heard you saying was you have to make sure that you heard from God that this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's different.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely the difference. Like you're saying, we can add things to our life, but is it God's will? Was it God's plan? Because, we have a tendency to add that thing, and then we want God to bless it. And God is like, I'm not in that thing, so I can't bless that. And that's not my will for you, so I cannot bless that. We try to force God's hand versus saying, what is the will that you have for me? What is the vision that you have for me? One of the things that my husband and I did when we first got married was we sought God out for what is the vision for the family? What is the path that we are to take as a family dynamic? And then in our individual prayer time, we have those intimate moments with God where we're like, okay, so what is my purpose? So when you have that, it's connecting back to your creator at the end of the day. So you're the creation, He's the creator. So He knows, He says, He knows the plans that He has for you. He knew you before you were in your mother's womb. So if we know that, we're confident in that, then we have to go back to the source to find our way and to find our path. And He will direct our path, and He will order our steps. He will be a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. But you have to allow God to be God.
That's it.
So I think sometimes as women, what a lot of areas that I tend to minister to are us having the inability to relinquish control. We want to control everything. We want to control every aspect of our lives. We want to, am I touching something?
That's
It gotta
for
go.
me.
It has to go this way. No. And I think that is a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
Because it's a gift because we're nurturers, we're builders, we are, people that give, we sow, in those areas, that personality trait or that part of us comes in handy when it comes to that. But when it comes to your faith, when it comes to God, when it comes to the things of God, no, not so much. We gotta be submitted to the things of God and the things that God would have us to do. And we have to hearken to his voice. And sometimes that takes stillness, which we have an issue with too. We can't be still. We can't be still enough to hear from God sometimes. It's like, oh, we got to do this. I got to go. And listen, the things of life will have you like that. But you have to make sure you take that time to just sit still and listen to the voice of God. You have to have that communion with God.
I think that the stillness is key, the control is key, but a lot of that is just like what you're saying. It comes from life. It doesn't come from God. And we feel that we are not doing enough or being enough if we are not in control of the situation or we're being still, because we've been taught that you need to be busy and you need to make sure that everything is moving the way it should. You need to take responsibility for certain things. And so a lot of times we have equated responsibility with control. Because I know that's what it is for me. Like, I feel like if God has told me to do something, or I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something, I need to be responsible for it. That means I need to control every aspect of it. I need to do this. I need to make sure that it's on this timetable. I need to be functioning like this. But that's not God, right? But then there's also this idea of stillness. What do they say? The idle hands. It's, you know what I mean? Like, and that's things your grandma tells you, right? Like, you always need to be doing something. If you're not doing something, then you're not being effective. You're not being progressive. You're not doing any of these things. But I think that when we actually begin to build this relationship that you're talking about with God, we're able to understand that sometimes you have to be busy waiting. You have to be busy being still. And that is something that needs to occupy your time, because a lot of times we're thinking that we need to occupy our hands, but we need to occupy our time with him. Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that I'm hearing you talk about, that, once we learn how to really connect with God and his voice, then we'll begin to understand our purpose, which will then begin to help us to walk out whatever the directives are that he's given us, which then helps with the balancing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing. So it brings this scripture to mind, that if you seek him first, his kingdom and all of his righteousness, then those things will be added unto you. So what is he adding when you put him first? Balance. What is he adding? Peace. What is he adding? Provision. What is he adding? If it's a husband, if it's a help, if it's children. So, all of those things that we're seeking after and we're hustling and bustling to get, baby, if you put God first, he gonna give it to you. It's gonna fall. It's gonna come. It's gonna be in line. There was a vision that God had given me a few years ago, and he showed me walking along this path, and it put me in the mind of narrow is the way, and God, my path, right? Yeah. So it was this path, and then as I walked, there were these markers on the sides of this particular path. So as I got to the marker would illuminate. And then as I would keep walking, the other one would illuminate. So of course, I'm like, God, what are you showing me? And he says, if you take my path, if you put me first, as you're along this path, you're going to hit every mark. Wow. Everything I have for you is already there. It's already there. It's already there. But when you take my path, that's when you hit the mark. It's when we detour. It's when we turn around and we look back and we start regretting, or we start saying, should I go this way? When we start questioning, when we start doubting, when we let fear come in, that's when we don't reach that mark. We don't reach the place that God is saying, no, keep going straight, daughter. Keep going straight. because I have something already there for you for exactly the time.
That.
But we cause delays. The enemy causes delays. He doesn't want us to win.
No.
So yeah,
No.
he'll throw everything he can at us. He gonna throw stumbling blocks. If you think about the path, he'll throw a stumbling block. If you think about a sidewalk that you didn't know it had a
oh yeah, the dip.
a little dip in it, you hit the dip.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, all of those things are along that path. It's not. I wouldn't say it's smooth and it's all peaches and cream and roses all the time.
Right.
But as you continue to trust God, he's going to illuminate that path and illuminate those things that he has for you. And yeah, so balance plays a role in that. It's like, God, I'm trusting you with this. Like I stated before, these are the things that you put into my life. You said that this is what you want me to do. So
right.
I'm putting the ball back in your court.
That.
So if this is what you want me to do, God, I'm trusting and believing that you're going to provide the way for me to be able to do it, and not only do it, but do it successfully.
Now, you talked about this path. You talked about the markers. You talked about hitting all the markers if you stay on the path. You talked about how in reality, if you read the word in totality, right? I know the plans I have for you because you were formed before you were formed in your mother's womb, right? That means the provision was already set before you were formed.
Oh, yes.
Right? So the path was already set. What about balancing against the idea of what his purpose is and what we believe our purpose is? Because sometimes, for some of us, some of the stuff that he tells, we like, you playing. Because that ain't for me.
Can't be for me. Hey, yeah, listen, I've had those conversations with God myself, especially when it came to ministry. I said, preach.
This one right here, you're my business today.
Hey, I can't even talk in front of people. What you mean preach? I'm like, Moses, shut up. Like, what are we talking about here? Listen, there's this saying that if it's not keeping you up at night, if it's too comfortable, it's not big enough.
That's it.
So, I mean, God is the God of the impossible. Like, he can do anything, right? So he can do anything. So if it's too small, God could be in it. He could be in a mundane thing. He could be in a minute thing.
Sure.
But if it's big, he definitely is going to be in that because it's too big for me.
Too big.
The idea of it is too big for me.
Yes.
So, but he's also the God of the exceedingly and the abundantly, above all that we can even ask or think. So sometimes even what's on our mind is too small. God is like, that's not even what I have. But trusting him is where that comes in, because we'll have our plans and he'll laugh and say, yeah, those are some cute plans, but I have more. I have more for you. It's bigger than that. It is not only bigger than that, but it's bigger than you.
That is bigger than you. I think that that's where we have to kind of key in, because I think that we get lost in this idea of what we believe is our purpose, because it fits within this box. And we feel, again, going back to that control, we know the outcome will be, we know exactly how this is all going to play out because it fits with what we believe are our strengths, right? But when you realize that the things of God are never able to be constricted by man, and it's always about something greater than you. It has nothing to do with you. You're just the vessel.
Oh, yes.
Then you can get to the place of trust, which is really the balance. Because I'm hearing you talk through all of these steps and realizing that a lot of us go through these places of where, God has shown us some things or told us some things, and we're like, that's just not for me. That is just not for me. And a lot of times people talk about God being the God of impossible, right? And that anything impossible God can do. But the way that I'm shifting my mind right now is that I believe that God is actually the God of possibility.
Mm.
Everything that we have going on, he makes it possible. So there is nothing outside of the possibility of him,
That's good.
outside
That's
of the
good.
possibility that he has created. There's no impossible. Like that to me, like I've kind of erased that from my vocabulary. Like God is the God of possibility. He created
Yeah.
all things.
Yes.
Right.
He's
So it's like we have to begin to shift our
Mhm.
mindset from this idea of we have to control and we have to create to we have to trust and we have to submit.
Totally.
And I think that that's the thing that is hard. It's really, really, really hard, especially when you go on Instagram and you go on Facebook and you go on
Mhm.
YouTube and you go on TikTok and Snapchat and you're comparing your progress or what you think is progress, girl, against everybody else. And then you have in your mind this ridiculous idea that he said, and you're like, and this is why I told you, God, that was a mistake. This right here. This right here. You know what I mean? But you
Oh,
you really
yes.
have to begin to trust that he is who he says he is.
Absolutely. I was on a prophetic prayer broadcast this morning, and my spiritual mom said that when God said, "Let there be light," the darkness responded
That.
like this.
That.
So when you said that he is a God of possibilities, I can immediately resonate with that, because there was a season where God was showing me the importance of the word be.
Mm.
And when he said be, it was.
It was.
What they say, period. Period. It was. He said be, and it was. And so when we connect that to our faith, we're connecting that to ourselves, and we're made in his image and his likeness. We have to be thinking the same way. It's like, God, I know you can. Like you're saying, he's the God of possibility. I know I can't, but I know you can.
But I know you can.
I'm weak, but you're strong. And not only am I weak, but you're strong. You delight in answering my prayers. Matter of fact, you feel my joy when you answer my prayers. So it's the trust.
It's the trust.
It's the trust. It's the faith, and knowing and believing that he's gonna do it. He said it, and he's gonna do it. One thing I'm learning, or that I've learned these last few years, is that the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. And
yes,
listen, and that goes along with chastisement, but it also goes along with whatever he said he's going to do.
That
it will not return void. Like he's going to be working on it. Already manifested as soon as he said it.
It's already done.
My spiritual mom, she said this. She said, Jesus said, it is finished.
Right.
It's done.
It's done.
It's already done. It was done on the cross.
That. I think that's
so
the thing,
it takes me right back. It takes me right back to that path. If
Mm.
it's already done,
That.
when God showed me the markers, they were already there. They didn't appear. They didn't just appear. They were already there. I had to get to that place, which means that I had to put my faith to work, because faith without works is what? It's dead. So I had to put my faith to work, and I had to step out and move. And that's how I obtain. And that's how I receive. It is that submission. It is that trust. It's taking that first step. And sometimes when we're taking it blind. We're taking it afraid.
Every time. Forget the first step. It's every time for me. It's every time.
It's like, whew, okay, God, but you get to that place, you're like, I'm gonna just trust you, because the last time I took the step, and that is the working of our faith. Because the first few times we take the step, we're like, we backing up, we're turning around and running the other way.
Hello.
Then we get to that point where we actually do take the step. We take it scared, but we take it.
So
that is the beautiful thing about this faith walk, is that you're building endurance, you're building strength, you're building this, you're building your faith to this place where you are able to submit, even if you're doing it scared. You get to that place where you're saying, yes, God, like, I'm gonna go. Send me, I'll go.
That's it. That's it.
I'll go.
I think that that's important, because when you're talking about send me, I'll go, you're actually just walking out the manifestation of what is. We look for these big bells and whistles and all this other stuff, but what we've talked about is that it's already done. So all you have to do is walk in the manifestation of it. You're asking God to do something he's already completed.
It's already been complete. That's the word.
Like, it's already been completed, y'all. Like, you want to balance something. I mean, balance your expectations of what you think it looks like. I think that's what the part of this is, because we have this idea of, okay, you're going to split the sky, you're going to tell me this, or okay, you're going to send me the thousands to minister to on my very first day, or you are going to send the money that I need to build this rec center tomorrow. Like, all of these things, we have this idea, but really the balance has to be, you need to balance your expectations of against what it really means to walk out manifestation. Manifestation takes time, because you're human and you have to get in position, not God. He's already there.
Oh, yes.
Because you talked about this path, right? You said they were already there. I was one that had to get to the path, and I was one that had to walk onto it. And so again, we think of manifestation always as being this moment. And sometimes it can be, but really manifestation is walking it out, because it's already happening. It's already done. And so us being in position to do that requires us to trust that submission works, that submission is effective, because a lot of us don't believe that, if we're actually being honest, because we again think that if we control it, we'll have better results, because it's, as I say, to get it done right, you have to do it yourself. But is that biblical?
Nope.
There's nothing in the word that says that.
Nope. As a matter of fact, we're called to be dependent. Not independent
at all.
I know y'all thinking about that song. Who sung that?
Webby. I ain't been saved all my life. Webby. That's
somebody sung that too. Was he the only one? That's the one you're talking about.
That's Webby. Yeah, girl. That's him. But that's what we think.
Yeah.
But
and we get up in that.
It's not biblical, and that's where the burnout comes in, because you're taking on a responsibility that was never meant to be yours.
Yes.
And that's why you find it difficult to balance, and difficult to navigate, and difficult to grow, and difficult to be effective, because you're doing things, like you said, out of alignment. You weren't called to that. You do too much.
You're doing too much.
You're literally
too
doing
much. And so little at the same time. Is that possible?
Tis. Because I've been there. Like, I think I'm in this season right now, like, of trimming away a lot of the things that kept me busy and doing, but there was absolutely no fruit. There's no fruit. Like, and it's not, and now y'all, before y'all start running mouths, I wasn't doing anything bad. Like, I wasn't tricking. Like, I'm just saying, like, I thought that I was doing good things for people, or for myself, or whatever. And I thought that I'm building, but when I sat back, I'm like, but you are absolutely empty. You're absolutely worn out. You're tired. You're drained. You need to pinpoint what's actually going on. And the reality is that you have created and defined good for yourself, instead of leaning into and trusting the definition of the goodness of God.
That's good.
And you've created this schedule for yourself. You created this timeline that has absolutely nothing to do with him. Yes, he's shown you some things, or he's shown the people around you certain things. But you don't get to decide how you get there. You're going to kill yourself before you reach the end if you keep doing this. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the truth.
Yes. You can kill yourself in standing still and moving too fast.
That.
what is it? The race is not given to the swift, but the one
Yeah.
that endures.
Doors.
Yeah. So it's slow. It's not always slow, but it is steady.
Yes.
It is a pace that you have to take. And that pace is coupled with, or it is dependent on totally on God. How fast and how slow. You just gotta move. But he's gonna, like you saying, he will shift you and move you in the ways that you should go. He's gonna direct your path, and he's gonna illuminate the path and light it up. He's gonna be a lamp unto your feet.
That.
But we just have to make the decision to move. But totally, I resonate with the over planning.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
That. It's absolutely that. It's over planning and overdoing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that stuff, you know what I mean? Like half the stuff that we do, while good, is not effective for what he needs it to be. You know what I mean? And we talk about our plans, our thoughts not being the same as God's, right? His ways and thoughts are higher than ours. And so we're thinking, okay, I'm doing these things. These are good things. I'm telling people about you. I'm being, this good person, all of these things. But we were created to effectuate his glory in the earth. And so he determines what his glory looks like and how best for it to be effectuated. And if you cannot balance your personal expectations with the will of God and his actual word, then you'll miss every time. Because we'll be thinking we're helping God out. You can't help the one who created you.
Can we start there? Do we know the word?
Look.
Do we know the word? We don't know what God is saying because we don't know what God is saying. We have to get into that. We have to get into that place of, some people are waiting for an audible God. They're like, "Woo, I have to speak." Baby, he's been speaking for years.
It's already there. We literally just talked about that. Y'all asking him to do something he's already done.
He's been speaking. This is all prophecy right here. What you wait? You wait on a prophecy? I got a prophecy right here.
Right here.
And this is living and breathing.
That's the part for me. I tell people all the time, I've literally been going through this season of, again, asking God certain things and feeling like, okay, you're silent, you're not doing this. And God was like, I'm not silent, but I'm not repeating myself. Like, you keep asking me about this stuff. You keep worrying about this stuff. I told you.
I already told you. Ooh,
I'm not going to repeat myself. You getting burned out because you're finding it difficult to balance these things I never told you to have on your plate in the first place.
Conviction.
And that's where I'm at. Like, I'm really.
No, it's so good. That's so good.
Because I'm tired, Shameka. Like, I'm so like, I'm exhausted, and really having to be honest and transparent about that, and realizing that Petra got Petra there. God didn't do that. It wasn't even the enemy. It was my personal flesh dictating what I believed that the Holy Spirit wanted me to do. That doesn't even sound right. Your flesh can't dictate anything to the Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit is guide. He's the tour guide.
It don't work.
Imagine you get on, one of those boats where they do the touring, and you just take the mic and you like, I'm gonna tell y'all what you don't know nothing.
Girl ain't been there before. How you gonna tell him?
Been there before.
Girl, looking crazy. And
you have been there before, but you take the mic and you say, I'm guiding this tour. And God is like, I already know the thoughts and plans that I have towards you. It's an expected end. That means I already know. I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. I already know. So yeah, it's really about. I get it. I get it.
Yes,
I get it, because I was a control freak. this is the way my life has to go. If it don't go this way, I'm throwing a tantrum.
Yep. That was me.
And God he sent some things in my life that completely abrupt my life, like completely just shattered every goal, every dream that I ever had. If it was outside of his will, he was like, absolutely not.
Get rid of it.
And then you get to that place where it's like, God, take everything. I don't want it. I don't need it. See, we sing these songs, but do we understand
that?
Take everything. I don't want it. I don't need it. I just want you.
That.
And that takes us back to Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God.
Things will be added unto you.
Those things will be added unto you. Why do you have what you have? Why are you going to get what you're going to get? Why are you going to reach those marks? Because you put God first, because you sought God and his will, not his hand.
That.
You wanted to get to know God. You wanted to actually have a relationship with God.
Look. Oh, yeah.
Relationship.
Well, Shameka, you're assuming that a lot of people even understand what relationship is.
Oh,
because half of what people are operating now is not relationship. It's bondage.
Yeah.
It's bondage.
That takes me to a place, even in my life, what I didn't know relationship was.
Yep.
And the self-reflection that had to happen there. So God had to bring us to the end of ourselves. Right? We got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired for us to even get to that point. But what I know, what I've ministered and what I've testified to was this. When I got to that place, my prayer was this: Lord, show me me. Show me me, because I'm the one that's been doing this. I'm the one that's been messing my life up. I'm the one that doesn't know. See, we want to go back and we want to say it's my mom's fault because my mom had a broken marriage and then my all those things are true because generational curses are real.
Very real.
Yep. But when you're going to say enough is enough, we have to get to the point where we want better. So it is a self-reflection. It is a point where you say, God, I need to see, what am I doing wrong? Like, why is everything falling apart? Always. It's always falling apart. I start doing this and then it's falling apart. I start doing this, then I get tired. Why is that? And listen, I hated what I saw. So I was just like, this is what I've been doing this whole time.
This is what I've been embarrassing.
It was straight up ugly. It was ugly. And it was detrimental.
That's scary.
And see, I was so full of full of pride and so puffed up. And I thought it didn't stink.
Yes.
But it stink. Yeah. It was stank. Like we said.
Yes.
It was stank.
Yeah. Thing.
But we have to get to that place where we are willing to see. We don't want nobody telling us the truth. We don't want nobody telling us the truth. We still want to play the blame game. Yes. We still want to say, it's this person's fault. No. It's time to point the finger back at you.
Yeah.
And connect with the things that you got to fix in you. And let that work in you. But he can't do that work in you. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force himself on you.
No.
He can't do that work in you until you come to that place of realization and repentance. And you're willing to, dig deep. And sometimes it's so rooted. Oh, gosh.
It's deep.
So rooted. And listen, it's heavy.
Yeah.
You can get so weighted down. But that prayer has to be, Lord, reveal it unto me. What are these areas, that I need to fix in my life so that I can really have a true relationship with you? And so that I can obtain these things that you have for me. Not just the blessing, not just his hand, but a real walk with God,
A walk with
one that ministers to other people, one that
Yes.
people can look at your life and they're like, I want to get to know this Jesus that you talk about.
That.
Because the glory of God shines upon you. Like, I can see that there is a real difference in how you go about life than how I'm going about life.
And that makes a difference. It's what they see.
And even the ones that don't even
Hello.
Even the ones that don't know God can see
that. Again, we think the fruit is supposed to look one way, but what if it's supposed to look like something completely different? What if it's not these bells and whistles? What if it's not this cataclysmic boom? What if it's just the way that you've tapped into your relationship with him enough so that someone else can see that and want to know him? What if it's that? What if it's that? I think that, again, it's just a balancing of the expectations. I think that's the thing. I want to talk to you a little bit about how because I know that you've done this, how you have maintained boundaries to get all the things done. So the things that, you're called to do, the things that you need to do, but how do you maintain the boundaries? Because you seem to discover how to let go of some things, to pick up some other things, and getting to that space of balance. Because again, this is all about balance, and we want to give practical tips too. Like,
yes.
How do you do that?
Okay, so that letting go word, wow, that that phrase alone is really going to maximize your life. Because we tend to hold on to things thinking that these things are going to bring us value.
That.
And it's really starting with letting go. Okay, sometimes that's going to be friends. The wrong ones. Yep. And I'm not the advocate for cutting people off. That's not even who I am. It's really just about, not about what's serving you, but what is edifying, what is going to help you build and help you get to that next level. So letting go is so essential with helping you to get to that next level, because it goes back to what we just said. You're weighted down with all of these things, and you can't fly the way you need to fly with all that weight.
It's impossible.
Even in a natural, you get on an airplane, you can't take all them bags on there.
Nope.
They're going to charge you extra, and then they're going to say at a certain point, I'm sorry, you can't. Like, it's too heavy.
Too much.
It's too much. So, practically speaking, you connecting with what it is that you know is not bringing value to your life, and saying, being realistic and saying, I have to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
And I have to let some things go. And then the boundaries, right?
Yes.
What is hindering you? Sometimes it is people. Sometimes it's you.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Sometimes us. We in our own way. And a lot of times it's this right here.
That our own mind.
Sometimes it's really just in our head. Such and such is holding me back. This is holding me back. This is the reason I can't speak life. Speak life.
That's it.
We have what we say. So begin to speak life. Begin to write your vision down. Make it plain. What has God said? What word has he given you? What has he spoken over your life? You write those things down and you keep repeating them.
And keep doing
like,
it over and over.
I pray my prophecies a lot. A lot.
Wow.
Why? Because God's word is what he said. So I have to remind him of his word. The word tells us to remind him of his word. So with that, these boundaries are, sometimes it's going to be people, sometimes it is us, but sometimes it is the things too.
Yes.
It is life, it is family, it is the duties, it is the responsibilities, all of that.
All of it.
And trust me, as a mother of 6 children, I understand that there are responsibilities. There's laundry. I'm looking at laundry right now in the closet. And I'm saying that laundry, you gonna get done, but just not right now.
Right. That.
This is what I had to learn. And this was honestly my spiritual mom. She was like, let it go. You can do it tomorrow. So simple.
But it's hard. Okay. I'm gonna flip my little head back because it's hard. It's hard.
Make boundary. If you find yourself getting all flustered, and listen, I'm a little OCD too.
Yeah.
I think all women are OCD about certain things.
Hello. Like, at some level, it's there. It's there.
But listen, that laundry ain't going nowhere. Maybe get into your word for them 20 minutes and calm your spirit down versus going to tackle that laundry and being mad at everybody because you got to wash so much.
You're right. You're right. Like,
or get creative.
Get creative. That's it.
Put your headphones in and listen to the word of God. Listen to someone, listen to a sermon. Listen to worship.
Yeah.
Because listen, the ebbs and flows of life, all of those things it could literally have you flustered and frustrated and all of those things. But you have to set those boundaries even within you to say, I'm not going there. Like, I'm not going there with myself. I'm not going there with people. I'm not going to allow for these people to abrupt God's plans. I'm not going to allow for the enemy to come in and take me off course. Not this season.
No.
Like, we have to get to that place where it's like, enough is enough. Like, I got places I know I need to go. There are people I know I need to connect to. And I want everything that God has for me. So, and then with it, in pertain to balancing, setting those boundaries within yourself and for those people is what's going to help you balance. Do it all. You can't do it all. Oh, let me tell you something real good.
Yeah. That
I've learned even within this last year and a half.
Okay.
Ask for help.
My crazy self sitting up like, yes, you better tell. You're correct though.
It's gonna bless you real good. It's gonna bless you real good.
You're right though. You're right.
Ask for help. Why we always gotta be in control? Why we always gotta do everything?
Listen, I know you're correct, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm going to put a caveat onto what she's saying, because asking for help is something that the Holy Spirit has been telling me to do, but He's also been very clear to me. Be careful who you ask for help from.
Oh yes,
because there's some people that will even present themselves to you, and you'll think, oh, this is the move, this is exactly what I need, and God's tapping you on the shoulder. No,
that ain't it.
That's not it. So while you need to ask for help and you need to utilize the help that He sends, you need to actually ask Him, because there's going to be things that present themselves to you, because again, there are distractions that are coming because you're beginning to tap in and build that relationship, and it can come through opportunities. It can come through the help that you need. So you have to be really, really, really discerning. And to become discerning, you actually have to pray the word and you have to listen to the word so that you can ask for wisdom to activate the discernment that you need, because there is going to be a lot of help that's coming that's not going to help you.
That's those boundaries.
It's the boundaries. That's exactly it. It's the boundaries. It's a thing. It's a thing. So before we fully end, because we could obviously go for all day, I want you to give some advice to those women that wanted to give up, or they choose to give up on what they believe God has called them to do because of how difficult it has been to balance everything.
Okay, so Advice. I think first and foremost, you have to get to that place and that mindset that there is no quit in you.
Oh.
So there may be some things that needs to happen for you spiritually and mentally for you to have fortitude to press forward. Faith unmovable. Not being able to be shaken, not getting into that place where it's like, this is too much, I can't handle it. Yeah. Why are you there in the first place? So let's connect to what is it that you're connected to or not connected to. Let's get there first, because we have to be plugged into the source. So my advice would be, if you're at that place and you're feeling in a rut or you're feeling like you're wanting to give up, how did you get there? How did you get to that place where you wanted to give up? Because maybe you're going in your own strength. Like you and I just even talked about, when we're going in our own strength, we're going to get tired. We're not going to have the resources or the ability, the strength to press forward, because we're doing it in our own humanly strength. So how did you get there, and why are you there? And how do you get connected to the source? You have to maintain a posture of prayer. You have to stay in your word. You have to study to show thyself approved. You have to connect with your creator so that you can tap into his strength. And then realistically, sometimes you got to rest. As a person that moves a lot, and that has to be, that's kind of pulled in different directions. Right. There has to be a moment where it's like, okay, Shameka, it's time for you to take a nap. Time for a nap.
That's it. Wrap it up.
And I wake up from that hour and a half and I'm rejuvenated.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go again.
Yes.
But you rest physically, and rest spiritually. Rest in the arms of God. Trust him.
Trust him to do it.
Because as you're running, it's not a rat race.
No.
Like, we're getting caught up in like we talked about, the idle mind is a devil's playhouse, and you gotta be busy, and you gotta be moving, and you gotta be. But what are you doing? Like you even said, you had to connect with it, that those things were not bringing any fruit in. And I even think about when Jesus walked past that fig tree and he was like, "You're not producing? I curse you.
You done.
Period." You're not producing? What's going on? Why are you there? So connect there first. Get to that place where you can be real with yourself. We're always talking about, we're going to keep it 100. Be 100 with you. Look yourself in the mirror and say, where did I go wrong personally? That not what somebody else did or what you didn't have, and what mama didn't do, daddy didn't do. Yeah, okay. But
you have to move forward.
You have to at some point, and there can't be no quitting you.
No, I love that.
We have these lists of things, and we have all of these requests. We have all these prayer requests and all of these things that we want from God. But what are we going to do to obtain them? Are you ready to press? Are you ready to press in towards the mark? Are you ready to get to those markers on that path that God has for you? I don't know. For me, there's really nothing that has come my way that made me say, I want to quit.
Yeah.
I've gotten tired. I've gotten frustrated.
Yeah.
But I never said, I'm done with this.
Right. That's a big deal.
If you're finding yourself there, you need to go rewind.
Yeah.
And go back to that place of where that first attack came, or that first distraction came, or that first situation came that you thought was just a slip up, or you thought it was just something small, but it really was a seed. Yeah. And over time, it matured.
It matures.
It has you in this mindset. It has you in this place in your mind where you're like, your mind is not the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are negative. You're not thinking in the way, or thinking the way that you should be thinking.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
So, how do we get there? Transformation of a mind has to take place. How does the transformation of the mind take place? In prayer, in supplication. Yeah. Sometimes we really need to just turn our plates down. And see, we don't like to do that.
Nope.
We don't like to fast.
No, we don't like to give up anything.
Don't like to give up anything. Going back to letting go. What are you willing to sacrifice so that you can get your goal? What are you willing to give up so that you can get what it is that God has for you? Sometimes that is going to be some sleep.
Yeah.
Some of us sleep too much. Solomon, in all of his infinite wisdom,
woo,
what did he say about sleep? Like, you're not going to be successful. Like, if you're always sleep, you're not going to be successful. But can we do things that make us sleepy? Can we deal with the things that even have us in that rut? Depression, oppression,
anxiety, all of it.
Anxiety, all of these wicked things, all of these negative things that have come in and we have left unchecked. Some of us are literally operating in depression.
Yes.
And we're operating in oppression, but the devil is a liar. Those are not of God. Those are things that are not of God. And when you connect with your source, and he's able to help you identify with these areas of attack that have been in your mind, your body, your spirit, God will deliver you. Listen, I was functional. I mean, when I say highly functional in depression, highly functional, you would never know.
Same.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That thing was so suppressed. I didn't even know. So making that connection, and then you realize, like, oh my God, these things that have come into my life, the spirit that has come, it's been hovering over me. It's been pressing into my shoulders. Yeah. Like, I'm thinking that this is the way of life. No, it is not.
It's not. It's not.
I came to give you life, and life more abundantly. Depression ain't nowhere in that.
Nope.
Oppression ain't nowhere in that. Anxiety is nowhere in that. And I don't receive it nor accept it. I've gotten to this point in my life where it's like, I don't accept that. That is not God's promise to me.
No.
So when you make that connection and you say, it's me, oh Lord, I need to be better. What is it that I need to do? How do I fix me? How do I change? How do I get a transformation of mind? How do I get to a place where I can balance? How do I get to a place where there's no quit in me? You have to deal with those issues. You got to deal with those rooted issues. Yeah. You gotta seek out personal deliverance. Personal.
Yeah. It's not for everybody else. It's for you.
It is for you.
It's for you.
And you're going to be so much better. You're going to feel the weight is going to come off of you. What is the prayer that we pray? Every sin and every weight that so easily besets us. Like,
yep.
You're getting to that place. And this is where we have to know the word.
Yeah.
Okay, so why was I dealing with depression and I was completely functional dealing with depression? And then I would have these spells of darkness where I would just kind of want to go in the room and shut the door and not talk to nobody and deal with nobody. But people are going through that and they think that that's normal. Yes. You think that, oh, I'm just having a moment. Just one of them days. No.
But it's not.
That's actually a stronghold. Because if you find that you're going through that every month, at a certain time every month, or you're going through that every 3 months at a certain time every 3 months, there's these things that are happening to you. If you go back, you can retrace that there is cycles.
Yep, what the triggers are. Yep.
You can go back and absolutely, the triggers. Yep. You can go see that this is happening and this has been happening in your life habitually. It has been happening in your life repetitively. So knowing the word, why? So you can pray against it.
That's it.
And speak against it. But you have to get to that place of submission. You have to get to that place of where you're able to say, like, God, enough is enough. I want to be better. I want to balance. I want to have a good family. I want generational wealth. I want a legacy. Yes. I want a good husband. Yes. I want to be somebody's favor.
Yeah. Hello.
And not they.
I hate those statuses where people talk about so much so as their headache. I'm like, can we not? I don't know. I'm that person, but I agree with you. But I think when everything, and by the way, I hope that you guys are taking notes because I've been taking notes. If you see me look off, I'm taking notes. But there's something that's super important about what you're saying, because you're talking about you want to obtain these things, but you have to look for the ways to maintain them. Maintain them. And that's really important because you're talking about retracing your steps, figuring out what your triggers are, figuring out where your boundaries need to be in place, figuring out where you need to find the balance, because it's not just about the obtaining the blessings or obtaining this next direction or whatever. It's actually about the maintenance. That's what you're talking about. Because a lot of times we get the thing, but we don't know how to maintain it. And that's why the cycles keep repeating. That's why. So it's important to do the work of building the relationship, not only with God, but with yourself, so that you can begin to maintain the things that he's placing before you. Because you have to become a good steward of all things, not just of the things you want. Mm-hmm. Including yourself.
Self-care. See, we talk about self-care. Let me go get my petty.
Girl.
My hair done. Boo, that's not self. Listen.
That's self-pampering. That's what that is. It's pampering, which is great. That's not self-care.
It's wonderful. Listen, oh, you feel so good.
Yes, it's great. Outwardly. But it's not, it has nothing to do with the inside. Self-care actually has to do with your mental state, with your spiritual health, even with your physical presence. Like those things, they go hand in hand, and you have to do the work of them. And so you have to clean your heart and mind out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you talked about maintenance, I tell people all the time, deliverance is every day.
Daily.
We're walking that out every day. Why? Because the enemy not taking no days off.
Hello, somebody.
He's not taking no days off.
He's not on vacation, y'all.
At all.
He's just not.
You said yes. Wait a minute. You said yes. He coming for you. You said, send me, I'll go. Oh, he's coming.
He's coming.
You said it's bigger than me, and I want to make sure that my life is a ministry unto other people so they can come into Christ. He is coming for you. You said you want a family after God's son. He's coming for you.
He bought that plane ticket already, sis. He coming.
It's prepaid.
Look, hello. He been clocking you, and he said, "Oh, she about it. Okay, I'm about it too. I'm gonna see you in the morning." Hello, no, come on, y'all. Like y'all have to be real, because again, and we hear this all the time. If you're not having any issues, if there's not any distractions coming up, if the devil's not knocking on your door, then that means that you have become complacent and you are no longer a threat to him.
You're no threat.
You're no threat to him. So then you need to get concerned.
That's when you need to be concerned.
That's the thing. Okay, y'all, we've done so much. We have that, but this is what I was talking about. This is why I was so excited about today. This has just been a blessing to me. And I hope that you guys are taking notes. Make sure that you're saving this episode, that you're liking, that you're sharing, that you're subscribed. Get other people into this conversation because they need to hear this. Because I believe that God has called us to more and to greater, but to get there, we have to be balanced. We have to be able to listen to his voice, to know where he's directing us, and to maintain what he's given us to steward over. And so again, make sure that you are sharing this conversation with others because it is a true blessing. But before we go, Shameka, I want you to share with everyone how they can follow you on social media, how they can connect with you, because I know that there are going to be people that want to do that. So can you share that with them?
Absolutely. So on all my social media platforms, I go by Meek Morgan. Excuse me. So it's MEEK Morgan. And then so for my Instagram, it's at Godly Wives, spelled exactly godly and wise.
That's the thing.
We have to kind of put that out there because some people put a Z and different things, but exactly how it's spelled.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, Meek Morgan, YouTube, Meek TV, Meek. I think it's Meek TV, MEEK TV.
Okay.
Where else am I? That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's
Godly
it.
Wives. Oh, The Morgan's Way is my family's page.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
The Morgan's is my family's page. And then we have, our business pages, but y'all could literally find me from those two main pages. Godly Wives.
Yeah. So do the work, do the digging, find the extra things and ways to connect with her. That's what we've been telling you this entire time. We're gonna put it into practice right now. And if you have not gotten your tickets for Woman to Woman Convos Over Brunch in February, tickets are now open. They opened on September 15th. Make sure that you click the link below to grab yours. Grab one for your girlfriend. It is going to be amazing. If you have been to any brunch before, we're taking it up a notch as we do every year. But the most important thing is that we are going to have the bestie date with the best BFF, Jesus, and you don't want to miss it. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I can't wait for next month's episode and next month's guest. I hope that you have an amazing, amazing weekend. Love y'all. Bye.